Okay, hi, welcome to the latest developer video for Democracy 4. That is a real thing and it's definitely happening. I'm Cliff, I'm the sort of main programmer and designer on the game, and I'm just going to talk about what has changed in the last 2 weeks. I've got a little list here of stuff. Quite a lot has changed actually, but I want to be able to demonstrate each individual thing to you. So I can't show you everything in this current setup. I'm very popular at the moment and I'm in my second term. I just won an election. Something that's just like a visual thing that's in. I'm not sure if the frame rate will actually sort of give it to you in this video or whatever, but we've got like sort of bouncy graphics that sort of like bounce into place and that draw into place like this. I quite enjoy putting stuff like that in. Oh, I added these two dudes here to make, well, dude and girl, to make it more obvious which is socialist and capitalist. And where is that thing? Oh yeah, the changes thing bounces as well. I'm actually running from Visual Studio, so the frame rate isn't what it should be. It's only like 300 frames a second or whatever. It should be a smooth 400. I have a really fast PC to put that into perspective, so I think if I get it to 400 frames per second, which it caps at actually, it will run at 60 frames a second on a really crap laptop, which is what we want. Anyway, so that's in bouncy stuff. That does it as well. I quite like this effect. When I worked out how to do it, it's really simple and easy. I thought I'd put that in a few places. It's good. So that's in. That I need to trigger. Charity. We put charity in. Charity is really interesting, actually. I read a lot of stuff about charity. I'm trying to find stats on it. That's it there. A little hand, little giving, the giving hand. Charity is very interesting because the people who give to charity are either the rich or the poor. Okay, globally, statistically speaking, middle income people don't give much to charity. Now, a lot of people say that the stats are skewed because of religious people in the United States. Poor religious people in the United States give a lot of money to charity, or a lot of them give a lot of their money to charity. So if you were to look at the number of people giving to charity, a lot of them are poor. However, if you look at the total amount of money that gets given to charity, it's hugely skewed by the super rich. And you know, you can look at the stats on that if you don't agree, and I'm always happy to be proven wrong. So we put it in, and so it has these various inputs. So the amount of people who are religious is an input, because if you're in a very atheist country, then that effect on the poor is not going to happen. It's skewed slightly by poverty, because when people see poverty all around them, you can assume that they would care more and they would donate more. If you have eradicated poverty, you're going to get less money given to charity in general. I mean, obviously there's some charities where that doesn't affect, like you know, pets charities and stuff like that, but anyway, whatever. And it depends slightly on poor people's earnings. So this is ironic, really, because what we're saying is if you enable the poor to have more money, they will give more to charity. If you enable them to have a lot more money, they'll become middle income and they'll stop giving. This is actually true. So it's kind of interesting. Also, income tax I put in there because all of these effects look trivial at the moment. They just happen to be balanced at a level where they're having very little impact and charity is low. But income tax is also an input, because if your income tax is incredibly high, I think there is a perception that people have that I'm doing my bit. And I get this impression personally, and I think it's quite widespread, that if you feel that you could afford to pay more tax and yet you're not asked to, then that makes you more charitable, I think. And obviously the high earnings, if we really try and screw the rich, they'll stop giving to charity. That's not saying you shouldn't do that, it's just like an effect. And I decided education and health are the two things in the game that benefit from that. So you don't see much input from it at the moment, but depending on the circumstances, if I destroyed the middle classes and had lots of rich and poor people and lots of poverty, you'd see charity go up a lot. I think it was important to put in because when I looked at the stats, I was looking at stats to try and find out what percentage of GDP in many different countries does charity represent. And it's quite high. It's significant. It's higher than a lot of things we put in the game. So I think it was right to add it. So that's in. These minister backgrounds are now coloured. Now I think they may have been coloured before, but now they're coloured everywhere where you would see them, including here. And this is kind of like a quick visual shorthand. Also, they'll be on policies as well. So there. Green is good, orange is red is bad. And this talks about their loyalty, the chance that they're going to quit, which is quite important, actually. It's just a way of not having to just rely on one area to keep an eye on that. I think that's helpful. Yeah, policy sliders. I'm really pleased with this. I might make another big change to policy sliders that I keep thinking about and people keep asking for, and I'm not sure. So income tax. Ta-da! What I need to find is one that I can go one way and not another, maybe. I'll give up in a minute. Don't panic. I've only got 5. That's the problem, isn't it? Right. So I could raise. Right. You see where the bar goes red? It goes red if I can't go in that direction. In other words, I can't water down the Race Discrimination Act at the moment. I don't have enough political capital. I could increase it, that's fine. And that red, it will tell me anyway, because if I try and do that, it'll be no, you can't do that. If I try and do that, it would be fine. So you'll see that scattered about, and I think that's quite helpful, because you can come here, and yeah, you can check over here, but it's interesting, I think, to make this stuff as easy as possible, to make good quality of life stuff, you know. That's in there. Right, there's a few things I'll try and trigger. I'll go through a few turns. There's been an enormous amount of balance. I've balanced some of the values for the UK a lot. There was a lot of small things that changed. That I was looking at the simulation stuff from what we already had, which is basically Democracy 3's simulation stuff. And there were a few things that I didn't think were appropriate. We've never had a link from car usage to obesity before. Car usage is very influential. And that's a real thing. And it's like a negative to car usage that is kind of like unaffected by any environmental things, which I think is interesting. Obviously, if you make cars super cheap, you don't tax them much, you make them affordable, and you kind of encourage people to drive, then that's going to in some way increase obesity, because people drive everywhere, right? And then they're not cycling. You can see here I am doing my bit: bicycle subsidies, free bus passes for the elderly, bus lanes, and that's school buses as well. So I'm doing my bit. So a lot of simulation stuff changed. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through a few turns. Things are looking pretty good. One of the things I've been working on is late game balance. So I've got a few things going wrong here. I've got Luddite riots. Basically, I've got automation, but my workforce is not educated enough to all have jobs through it. So I think what I've got, that's unemployment, isn't it? A lot of things are kind of reducing unemployment, but how's the GDP? The GDP's not bad, but again, I have this like industrial automation thing going on. Those icons have all changed size and they shouldn't have. That's a bug. I've also got this organised crime. That's about to go. I really need to make it easier to deal with alcohol abuse, but in the meantime, look at all this extra money. I'm going to cut. Oh, I can't. I don't. Ah, how annoying. I can spend money though. What could I do that people would appreciate? I'm going to do food stamps. It's very good at eradicating poverty. Anyway, we'll go to the next turn. There is the odd crash at the moment because it's in alpha, so if it crashes. Okay, yeah, this is new. We have an extra icon on top of these to go, they've ended. So you can see at a glance that they've ended. Okay. I slightly changed this so that the chart's bigger to show you a situation that's about to trigger. Right, Transport Minister has resigned. Okay, that's fair enough. We need to pick a new one. Transport Minister, transport, their transport, religious and ethnic minorities. Fine, that'll do. Right, I don't have emergency powers yet, which is a new thing that I want to show you. And what was the other thing? Donor demand stuff and upset ministers. That minister's very upset. They might quit soon, so that'd be okay. So who do they like? Capitalists and liberals. I kind of want them to quit to show you something. Religious people are very upset. So what I'll tell you what I could spend a load of money on is clean energy subsidies, and because I'm me, that's a damn good use of money. And also I've got an electric car transition program. Yes, book it up. And actually I could probably increase some. If I got university stuff, I consider that to be quite important. Well, adult education, I'll throw $1 billion at that. Just throw $1 billion. See, I can't raise that now. Annoying. Can't even raise that. Damn. Okay, next 10. Don't crash. Excellent. Doctor strike. Oh, well, that's annoying. Ban face recognition in public. Oh, we now have dilemmas that have 3 choices. No, I'm going to allow face recognition. Get with the times. Well, I'm hoping things will go badly wrong, so I can show you emergency powers. Oh, I've got a manifesto pledge that I need to meet there. Let's meet it now. I don't want to have this go on too long. I just want to show you some things. So we have this huge surplus. If in doubt, throw money at tanks. I'll tell you what I should have done is, because I was going to show you something. It's in the economy, isn't it? Shit. I'll have to do it next time. Right, okay, a few things. Firstly, the asthma situation has been renamed to respiratory disease, partly because I'm making this game in the middle of this this virus COVID-19 thing, and asthma was just kind of like, it's one thing. I'm not saying it's not a serious problem, obviously, but I basically want to represent. Hang on, I've just realised that's not working properly. I want to represent all kinds of like sort of lung problems and everything that you might get from various types of pollution. That would include those small particles that you get from driving, even if you are not emitting from the exhaust. Anyway, there's a load of respiratory disease. We just renamed it, okay, because the inputs were correct anyway. So yeah, I thought I'd mention that. So this is a new thing. So you've probably seen this before when you get a warning from your minister saying, I'm upset, I'm going to quit, because liberals and capitalists are upset and they're my people. So what the game does now is it picks one of those, liberals or capitalists, and it goes through every possible policy that would make those people happy that is currently not implemented and that you could implement with your current level of political capital, and it picks one of those and it suggests it. So basically it's a shortcut to stopping this minister quitting. So they're saying, look, enterprise investment scheme, that's something you could do. It might not be enough, okay, it's a suggestion, but it's popular and we could afford it, so maybe we should do that. Anyway, I've got a dilemma there. I'm just going to try and trigger a complete disaster. I'm going to keep planning restrictions. I'm going to try and do unpopular stuff, actually. Although, no, look, the economy is going amazing, which is quite annoying. I don't have enough things. How can I really screw people? How can I make the poor angry? It brings out the worst in you, this game, it really does. I can't cancel these other things now, can I? It's annoying. What can I do? What was I doing? I'm trying to trigger a general strike. That's why I'm trying to make the poor angry. I can't do a lot. We'll see what happens. It might crash anyway. I have an openly gay leader in the opposition. This is one of those events that is kind of like a signal, not a problem. It's kind of saying society is liberal enough for this to happen, and that will encourage further liberalism because you're normalizing a liberal point of view. Oh my god. Blah 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 blah. The Battenberg Group. Yes, so I love the name the Battenberg Group because it's obviously meant to be the Bilderberg Group, isn't it? And it's cake. So I kept it. Anyway, we have a water shortage coming and the capitalists are trying to kill me. This is bad. But GDP's good. So who cares? Right, I'm going to give it one more go and then I'm just going to tell you what's... No, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I think it starts off straight away. So we're going to try and do the impossible for a game that is in the middle. And we're going to start a new game which will no doubt crash. Is everything going wrong? Pretty much. Deficit of 10 billion. I'm going to make things a lot worse by implementing... I'll try and implement a space program. I don't have the money, but I want to implement it for a reason I'll come to in a minute. We have loads of things going wrong here. Situation imminent, hospital overcrowding, good, bring it, I don't care. So space program, I'm implementing this and I'm just throwing money at it for no reason. One of the reasons I'm doing it is because look, reusable rockets. I know it's silly, but like when we first did it, we had telescopes, big telescopes, arrays of telescopes, satellites, unmanned probes, reusable shuttle and space station. There's a new thing. Elon Musk, SpaceX, reusable rockets are a thing. I just thought I'd mention it because I think it's quite fun to put in stuff like that. I'm going to... I can't cut that. What can I cut? Yeah, screw the poor, allow debt collection. I want something to kick in. Yeah, that'll annoy people. We'll do that. General strike is on our hands. Yes, good. Bring it. I'm just whizzing through this. I think this is the last thing that I was going to mention this week. Yes, we have a general strike. This is bad news. Ironically, our credit rating went up just beforehand, but that ain't going to last. This is the last thing, isn't it? Yeah, so right, GDP. This is what GDP looks like when it's really bad. This is a cyclic effect from starting a new game. So yeah, everything's awful. So assuming I don't get immediately killed by angry people, yes, we have emergency powers. This is a new thing. So basically, if everything gets really bad, you get emergency powers. Okay. There should be inputs there, actually. Bug. Anyway, so it gives you more political capital if you have emergency powers. This turns red. Ooh. And if you go in there, this is the political capital you get, and this is the extra. You get an extra 12 every turn while this is active. This is a very important bit of gameplay balance that we should have put in ages ago. You've got an icon for it up there, by the way. So, so there it will show you. It's because it hasn't really fed in. It hasn't gone a whole turn yet. That's why. So it's not a bug. It's an important bit of gameplay balance because if you've played a lot of Democracy 3, you will find sometimes when things get really bad and everything's crushingly awful, you don't have enough political capital because all your ministers are upset to fix it. Okay, and in Democracy 4, it's even more of a problem because you get some political capital from popularity, which is the green bit. We're not getting much because we're not massively popular, but that's going to go down a lot. We've got all of these problems. It's only the recent GDP being okay that has stopped everyone being really angry. You know, that's going to turn around quickly. So you've got like a spiral of death, basically. So emergency powers is kind of like, look, there's a general strike. We've got alcoholism, obesity, street gangs and ghettos and organised crime. And this is when the president or prime minister kind of rules by executive decree or just like bullying people into going, look, put aside your differences because we need to get shit done. So it's a new thing. Anyway, emergency powers is in. I think it's really an important change to the game that makes it better. Anyway, I'll shut up. So that's it for this week. I'm going to be working on tutorial stuff. I'm going to improve the fireworks for the election. I'm going to check that all of our like modding support stuff works. I've got a lot of stuff like that to do. Jeff's going to put in the... we've got a few bugs to fix. Jeff's going to put in the stuff from Democracy 3 Africa, so we're going to have like some corruption and some really bad stuff that goes in. Anyway, this is Democracy 4. I'm Cliff Harris, the very unprofessional guy making videos about it and also programming and designing. Thank you for watching, like and subscribe, blah blah blah, and I'll see you in 2 weeks. Cheers.